Hey everyone, Tommy Dimsdale with the Dimsdale Debate once again, and we have the lovely Beth Hull here for the Citizens for the Children's Future. She's the co-chair, and we are here to talk about the tax hike that's going to be hitting District 7 if we don't end up doing something. Now, I could ask a lot of questions, but it really, just in talking to Beth for a little bit, I can really see that she is the subject matter expert on this. So Beth, tell us a little bit about the organization and the cause that you're trying to fight.
Sure. 6 months ago, I didn't know a thing about this, and I had not been that involved in politics. But when it came to our attention through the neighborhood and people talking that there was going to be a proposal for a big tax hike and some things going on with the school, it sounded like that's a lot of money. And the more we looked into it and talked with each other, we realized that's a lot of money. And so we wanted to know what was the money for and why
and how much are they initially proposing?
The bond itself is $185 million, and Spartanburg County has 7 school districts, and District 7 is the district that includes most of the city of Spartanburg and some suburb areas. It isn't considered one of the really growing districts or one with room to grow like District 2 or 5 or 6. So it's typically an aging district, it's a shrinking district, it's one that's trending poorer. You can check back financial pages year after year after year and watch the wealth indices go down, 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 down. So it seemed odd that there was suddenly a crying need for huge piles of taxpayer money.
Oh, it goes on all the time. We saw was last year or 2 years ago, District 5 was needing this big increase, and it did get defeated. And are you guys taking a similar tactic to that?
Just because of there are 7 districts in Spartanburg County. We're all so close together, and this happened not that long ago. We just happen to know several people that have just gone through this. And so they've explained what happened in their area and then how they were able to communicate properly to the people in charge, that the people in charge are out of touch and that they needed to try a little harder to meet the needs of their entire district.
Okay. So what's this tax hike going for? What are they proposing that they need the money for?
The tax hike is a construction bond. You are voting a yes or a no to give them $185 million.
Taxpayer money.
That's right. They have made a number of campaign promises, but as with all campaign promises, you're just voting to give them the money. So I'm not going to speak to what their promises are because that's all it is. It's a campaign, and we were told that from the very start that this is a campaign. So whether or not we give them $185 million, there's things that they are promising people, but depending on which group they talk to, the promises kind of tend to morph and adjust and all of that.
So I'm sure you're already prepared for these attacks, and probably have already endured some attacks of you hate the children, or you don't want them to get a better education, as opposed to raising the taxes. How are you going to respond to all these allegations that conservatives usually end up getting just because we don't articulate ourselves well enough?
Right, we don't make very good bumper stickers. It's so easy to pin 2, 3, 4 words together and feel good about yourself, but the truth is you really need to have an understanding of the larger message. And I do run into this a lot, and again, the big thing to remember is this is purely a construction bond. It's a vote whether or not to give them $185 million. There is absolutely nothing in the referendum for training, textbooks, technology, teachers. None of that is in the referendum. It's entirely even the description that they give, the promises that they give, which I say have morphed over time, but initially the language on the ballot was describing construction, acquiring property, renovation, that sort of thing. So this has nothing to do with it.
what do you tell people who say, well, the kids, they need this, they deserve this. Don't you want the kids to have a better place? What do you tell them
absolutely.
specifically?
They can have any of that anytime that they want. They have the ability to take out technology bonds, maintenance. They can, there's any number of things that they can do without taxpayers having to even have a say in it. They can take large amounts of money, many millions of dollars every year, and do what needs to be done. And we feel that within their existing budget, within the parameters that they're already given by law, that they can absolutely do this, and nothing whatsoever is stopping them. Right. Absolutely nothing. And so, you know, that's not what this is about. It never was, it never will be, and whatever emotional argument they try to frame, it's false.
Well, to me, the big thing that makes this something that's just kind of dirty, sneaky politics is usually how things get passed through school board or through education. It's on a special election date. Usually if something's on a general election, I wouldn't really have that much problem with it. The people can really vote on that.
That's what it's for. That's what the general election is for.
Exactly.
It's for these big decisions for the masses.
And we usually end up getting a few of them. If it has anything to do with education, they have to slip it in because they know it wouldn't pass otherwise. And Jeff Horton's really going to like the fact that I said this, that most of your taxpayer dollars aren't being spent by the county, even though, you know, we do have to keep a watch on parks and stuff like that, you know, that are being opened at a very, you know, quick pace that we're going to have to pay to, you know, keep up later on. But a lot, or most of your taxpayer money is being spent inside the schools. And we were just discussing a little while ago, is usually the tactics that they use is they'll ask for a large, insanely large number and then back it up from there, right?
Of course, yeah. That is, if you study the way these school bond referendums go, there is data going back to the 1970s that's now scanned in, and it's on PDFs online at the Department of Education and other areas where you can search how do they get these things passed. And it is very common, that is advice that is given, that you pick the largest dollar amount that you can you know, that you can possibly squeeze, and you go for that first.
Right.
And then if that gets defeated, then you back down from there until you find the level that people are willing to tolerate.
And, you know, we were talking before, it's very important for conservatives to not see the moral high ground. The people who are going to be fighting this are going to be telling us, you know, you hate kids, you don't care about their education, you just want more money for big oil companies. Well, no, I don't want subsidies for really anything. I want to believe in a fair playing field. But at the same time, you have to look at the amount of debt that is piling on our kids' backs by, you know, spending this kind of money. Your kids are going to have to pay this back.
Oh, and grandkids. This one goes out to 2047. So this is children and grandchildren, none of whom have a voice right now.
Exactly.
They can't vote.
They can't say that they don't want this because they don't know, and first of all, they can't vote. But we're deciding to levy all this debt on their backs, and that is not in their best interest.
Absolutely not. It changes the baseline considerably. It's something this large that's stretched out for 25 years and has that much interest piled on it will considerably move the baseline up. And then, like I said, they can take technology bonds, maintenance, any other things that they want legally on top of that, because this referendum then becomes, once it's, if it's legal, then that becomes its own thing, and it's no longer subject to the restrictions under the law. So what that does is that gives them all this money, and then they can still take everything that they're allowed up to what the law allows.
It's amazing. Now, you did want to touch on the railroad crossing.
Sure, yeah.
You wanted to say something about that?
Yeah, there's been some discussion that where the high school they are proposing it to be located is right by a train crossing. And many residents were very concerned about that because they've seen how dangerous that crossing is. Sometimes the arms don't come down, sometimes they come down just as the train goes by, you know, that sort of thing. And so it was pointed out by the school board that the same train goes by 2 other schools. Well, in a way it does, but it goes at a lower level. There's no crossing at those other schools.
It's not near as close.
It's below, right, it's below the level of the street.
Mm-hmm.
So there's not that same danger.
I understand. Now, you've been out there and talking to apparently a lot of people so far.
Absolutely.
What kind of reaction are you getting from the general in public?
The people that I speak with, and I've only twice ended up speaking to somebody who was for it. Overwhelmingly, I am finding that people do not like this idea.
I gotcha.
They think it's the wrong plan to address the needs at this time, and they're overwhelmingly unhappy that they were not consulted ahead of time, that instead they were just asked for all this money and then, yes or no, take it or leave it, pick sides, let's fight, and that tone is highly unfortunate.
I gotcha. Well, I know you've got a lot of statistics on here. How much can we expect taxes to be raised based off of this, or how much debt is going to be accrued?
Yeah, that's where it gets really complicated, because the simplest way, maybe if you have a way to put a graphic somewhere.
I can. We'll put
Okay.
that up there right now.
Sure. Yeah. There you go. Okay, if you look at this chart in the, you want me to just like show it to you this way? Okay, the lower left, that is the bond debt. Now this chart does not represent our complete tax picture. This chart isolates our debt service, the mills that go to the debt service. This blue right there, that light blue, is what's already committed. These are the debts we are currently paying off.
Right.
Okay, and as you see, they march down, and the last one's going to be paid off in 2022. Should this referendum pass, that dark, heavy blue line right there is the mills that will be applied only to service that debt. Like I said, once we're committed to that, that becomes our new baseline.
Wow.
These other things that you see on top of it, those, again, like I said, those are all legal. These are maintenance.
That's the stuff you were talking
Right,
about.
yeah, these are the things that they can add anytime they want, should they need technology upgrades or fix a leaky roof or a cracked floor tile, that sort of thing. And so, but what this will do is change the baseline significantly straight out till 2047.
That is amazing. Just like when the gas taxes, when the gas prices get low enough for us to be able to bear them, they want to add the gas tax hike, and now as soon as we're about ready to pay off our debt, all these other projects, they want to go ahead and boost those as well.
That's right, and that's where the tricky wording that they use, just keeps happening. They keep using this phrase, a 10 mil increase. That's not possible. What they're talking about is if you take a fixed point in time, for example, this 64 mils here, that's just used to service the existing debt that is about to drop off.
Right.
They're saying, well, 74 is only a 10 mil increase. Again, that's using tricky words. They're making it sound like it's only this little bit, but it's not.
When in reality, it's about to drop
74.
significantly.
Yeah, that's about to drop off, and we're about to have a 74 mil tax, not a 10 mil increase.
That is
The
amazing.
74 mil tax becomes the new baseline.
Gotcha. Well, is there any other information you want to get out tonight to our viewers, or any other statistics?
Oh, there's so much, but it does get pretty deep. I'd be happy to answer any questions. You can always contact the committee. Our website is district7vote.com.
Okay.
We've got email, phone number, that sort of thing, in case anybody has any specific questions. The main thing to remember is it's March 15th. That's an odd day, and that is a point that tends to bother people. But that's the date, is March 15th.
I gotcha. Well, it all depends on turnout, and that's where you come in. That's March 15th, the Ides of March, guys. That's when you can make the difference in District 7 to stop this tax hike. Mrs. Hull, I definitely appreciate you being on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, no problem. Well, hopefully we can dig into this even further, and I wish you luck and all the rest of everyone in District 7 to keep their taxes from being raised, and we keep more free market principles on the forefront. So.
Absolutely. All right, thank you.